Today is going to be wild because we're going to go through 8 months of beauty empties, and there's a lot. I am Mattis, I make men's beauty content, so if you're into that, subscribe and say hi in the comments. Now get yourself a tall glass of water and we'll begin. Oh yeah, and I'm also going to give you mini reviews on each one of the products. All right, I'm going to position this on my lap and we're just going to go randomly through everything. First thing that I see is a peeling, like a body peel. This is by Dove. I feel like this I've shown many times before because it's just a staple. They're so good because they're quite rough to the touch, but you can really give yourself a very nice scrub. I always tend to combine this with these exfoliating gloves for the softest and smoothest skin of your life. You know, if you want to find out what's really good, then you want to listen to what influencers actually use up or even repurchase, because those are the products that, even though I get so much product sent to me and I get to try so many different products, these are the ones that I really trust and believe in and that really work out. So yeah, moving on from this, and I have another Dove product. This is not sponsored. I just love Dove products, especially for the body. This is the Body Love Intensive Pflege Body Lotion. Pflege means like a moisture lotion. It's great. It has this ceramide serum built in and it's just a great body lotion. I always love Dove body lotions. I tend to switch between the Dove body lotions and Neutrogena body lotions unless I have a more luxurious body lotion on hand. That's what I usually will do more on the upper body, on the arms, where I get that beautiful scent, especially before dates or nights out, anything like that. But usually for day-to-day basis, I tend to stick to Dove or Neutrogena body lotions because they just work. Next up is this massive conducting gel. So it's like an ultrasound gel. I use these for my microcurrent devices. So I used to use the NuFace every single day. Not every single day, like I do go through phases, but I do use it regularly, especially if I'm going to film or if I have an event, a night out. I always want my skin to look amazing and, you know, the contours to be as sharp as possible. So yeah, I love a microcurrent device. At the moment, I'm really loving the Medicube device because it has a few different functions as well and it feels a little bit stronger. So I'm really enjoying that. I sometimes use skincare with the Medicube device because you can layer some lightweight skincare on your face, something like a hyaluronic acid serum or anything that provides that slip. And that can actually work really well. But the most cost-effective way is always going to be an ultrasound gel. I just get them online. There's a 1 liter bottle. I actually just ordered a new one because I can't be without these. Because again, I use one of these devices almost every day. So I go through a lot of gel and this works so well. So on to the next product, which is Clean It Zero Cleansing Balm by Vanilla. I believe this is a K-beauty brand. And you can see it's completely used up. It has a little bit of a lightweight, slightly medicinal scent. I believe I went for the Cica Relief, the calming cleansing balm. So yeah, it's a calming version. This I really need to repurchase, but I am going through some other like cleansing oils and cleansing balms at the moment. So yeah, I will repurchase this one when I use those up because it's such a great cleansing balm that won't break you out. At least it didn't break me out, and I have quite spot prone skin and it really removes any makeup, any sunscreen so effectively. So yeah, this is definitely a repurchase. And also love the design of the packaging. It's just simple but pretty to look at, nice in the bathroom. So yeah, this is going to be a repurchase. And then the Sundance Selbstbräunung Spray, which I'm going to translate to you because of course I live in Austria, so some of these products are going to have German names. But yeah, this is Sundance. It's a self-tanning spray, and I actually have another one on the go at the moment. This is good if you want just quick little warmth, and you put this on, I put this on before bed, just like a light spray over my sort of chest area, the arms, the legs. I don't usually use this on the face, although I think you could probably do that. But yeah, it's effortless, it's easy, it's really affordable as well. Yeah, you can get it here at the M in Austria or Germany. So that's a really good one. Then next I have another Dove product. You're gonna see quite a few of those because body products are the products that I run through the most, or I think all of us probably run through the most, because of course the body skin takes up the most space and we just use more of the product, so we go through it faster, I guess. But yeah, this is a Dove deodorant. They are my favorite deodorants. I usually go through the sort of non-white casty version, which I really like. But yeah, the original is also great. I personally prefer a deodorant with aluminium. I won't judge you if you don't. Do whatever you want and whatever works for you, but personally, I just really need that intensity in a deodorant to really keep me sort of from overproducing sweat and also keep me smelling good. So yeah, I love Dove deodorants. I tried a few different deodorants. I tried some Nivea ones, like those sporty men's scented ones. And I have to say, they make me a bit sick. I really don't love those scents. I prefer sort of a scentless or slightly fresh, linen-y, musky scent like Dove usually uses in their deodorants. So yeah, this is a we repurchased quite a few, and yeah, I always go back to these. Then we have another thing that I will always come back to time and time again. I don't really pay mind and attention to other hairsprays. Elnett is the best because you can brush it out. If it gets too sticky, if you apply too much, you can easily brush it out. I love how they are just not too sticky. A lot of hairsprays that I tried in the past, they sort of stick your hair together, and I always want volume in my hair. So yeah, this is just fantastic. I use actually the volume version, which is fantastic, but pretty much all of the ones I've tried from Elnett are great, and yeah, you can get them anywhere. I'm never without one of these. I can't even tell you how excited I am to get rid of all of these because they've been sitting in my home for 8 months, and yeah, I need space. I can't have all of this stuff hanging around. I have some micellar waters here. You know, micellar waters, I'm not too picky. I just don't go for those ones that have oil inside or that have like special functions. I just go for the really basic ones. This is a micellar water by Balea, which again is a DM brand here in Austria, and in Germany you can get those. And I just like the color. I think that's the main reason I got it. And yeah, any micellar water will do for me. I have another one sitting here on my table actually. This one is a Garnier one. The Garnier ones are fantastic. The Bioderma ones are fantastic. There's another drugstore brand. Actually, there's still a tiny bit in there, but the color is kind of turning. So yeah, I'm not gonna use that up. And yeah, any micellar water will do. I'm happy to use any of them. Do I use them every day? No, I use them a lot for filming because so often I have to sort of remove some makeup and then reapply something else. So I use them a lot for that. I do use them from time to time, but I also like a sort of cleansing oil, cleansing balm a lot at the moment. So yeah, I always come back to the micellar waters. They're always somewhere in my routine, but yeah, they're just a must-have. And then I have another body lotion. This is Neutrogena. This is one of my favorites from Neutrogena, the Hydro Boost one, because it's such a lightweight gel sort of texture. Let's see if there's still something in there. The cap is broken off. But yeah, I love the way it smells. It smells really fresh. It has this great gel texture that's just really hydrating, but lightweight. It sinks right in. It never leaves that sort of white cast and that sticky feel on the skin. It just sinks in. I feel like anyone who hates that sticky, sort of slow drying feeling on their skin will really appreciate the Neutrogena body lotions. And they're not, that was too fast. They're not too expensive, so yeah, they're a great deal. Then another Balea product. This is sort of an alternative situation to the 2% BHA by Paula's Choice, which is always going to be my favorite, and that's always the one that I come back to time and time again. But sometimes this in a pinch is quite handy, especially on the scalp. If you get like an itchy red scalp or you get dandruff, using a salicylic acid is one of the most underrated things you can do. And whenever I get a bit of an itchy scalp or dandruff, I will just use a salicylic acid a few times throughout the week. Like use it one night, then you wash your hair in the morning. You always, that's the thing, you need to wash your hair in the morning because it does leave the hair quite sticky. So I do it overnight and I repeat it a few times, and then the dandruff is almost always gone and there's no more this itchy feeling. The redness is soothed. So yeah, please get yourself some salicylic acid for those situations. You can also use salicylic on your body if you get body acne, or of course on your face if you get face acne. But yeah, salicylic acid, I feel like especially in men's skincare routine is so crucial because we all get those ingrown hairs. We get the acne, we get the dandruff, we get the body acne. So this is always going to be in my routine somewhere. Then we have another body scrub I used up. This is just a small sort of mini size by the brand Way. And this I really enjoyed because of the scent. It has this really nice salty but fresh scent. And yeah, I would actually love to own a full size of this. The scrub itself was fantastic as well. Again, I tend to buy the Dove ones, but yeah, I am considering investing in one of these just because of this beautiful feeling, that summery feeling, and that gorgeous scent it leaves on the skin. This is a great one if you're looking for a more indulgent scrub. So here we have a Nivea deodorant. This is exactly what I'm talking about. I do not enjoy these at all. I don't like the scent. They're sort of sweet and spicy and herbal, etc. They're not good. I really don't like these. I would always stick to sort of more in the background scent when it comes to deodorant. And also this didn't really work for me. It didn't really prevent sweat that well. I feel like Dove is just better for that. We're doing a bit of a random order here, but I did grab some sunscreens that I found inside the bag. This is just a small portion of sunscreens that I go through. And I know that's ridiculous, but sunscreen is the single most important thing in my routine. I would rather leave anything else out and use a sunscreen. I would get rid of all of my makeup, all of my anti-aging serums, anything as long as I can keep my sunscreen, because I truly believe that the sun is the one factor that's really gonna age the skin, that's gonna cause discolorations, wrinkles, that's gonna worsen spots, scarring, anything like that. The sun is gonna make worse. It's gonna break down the collagen. So yeah, I love the sun, but I'm also very respectful with the sun, and I will never lie out in the sun directly without any sunscreen. I usually always have my sunglasses on, a hat on to prevent the sun to get to my skin too much. I'm not perfect by any means. There are of course moments where you're gonna be exposed to some sunshine, and I'm not afraid of the sun, but I am very respectful for it. And I would suggest you do the same. All of this sun damage here and on my face, it's all painted on. This is not real. I am not sunburnt. If you ever see me on social media looking sunburnt, it's fake. It's blush. I used a combination of blushes today. I used the YSL Beauty blush. This is Make Me Blush, liquid blush. This is a beautiful shade. And then I also used some NYX Buttermilk blush in the color For the Butter. This is one of my favorites. I discovered this at the beginning of the summer. They actually sent this to me. And this is such, I know it looks terrifying, but if you apply a small amount of this, I used it on my body, on my face, it's gorgeous. And the combination of these, fantastic. And of course, I always love a bit of a highlighting blush, but let's not drift off too far into blush. We're gonna stick with sunscreen for now. So I have tons of sunscreens here. There's one by Eucerin, Oil Control, brilliant. Brilliant, would absolutely repurchase this because it's not too oily. There's nothing left inside. But yeah, great sunscreen. I really trust Eucerin. They have great formulas. They have great reliable formulas. And this is a sunscreen that won't be too much for oily skins. And I feel like that's usually the biggest problem with sunscreen is that they're too shiny, they're too white casty. It's more of a gel formula. It won't leave you too shiny. Then we have some Garnier ones. I love Garnier sunscreens. I don't love all of them though. This is one that I don't like at all. This is the Glow one, and I actually didn't use this up because it has a tint, and this probably really depends on your skin tone. But on me, this looked so orange and so bizarre, and I can't really envision a skin tone that this would look good on because it has too much coverage for the color it is. There's not a lot of people that have an orange skin tone like this. Even a person with darker skin couldn't really benefit from this because it would be too light and the tint is just too much. So I really didn't like it and I actually didn't use this up. Just couldn't get myself to use it up. But I love the BHA and niacinamide sunscreen from Garnier. This is so brilliant. This is so liquidy, it sinks right in. It doesn't get shiny, it's pretty matte. This is great for all of you that hate sunscreen that's too thick and too rich and too sort of glowy on the skin. I highly recommend this. And also like this niacinamide version, it's very similar. Both of them are great. The one drawback with sunscreen is that they are usually in a very small bottle, which I still wish that the beauty industry would change that and would come out with bigger sizes, because we need a lot of sunscreen, and you see how much I'm going through because I use the accurate amount, and I do reapply my sunscreen, but I don't reapply every 2 hours. I'm still human, we gotta be realistic, but still I go through these so fast. So yeah, I wish that these would come in bigger bottles. Then I have, of course, a big love affair of mine, the Beauty of Joseon sunscreens. I've used up so many of these, there must be more in there. But yeah, the Aquafresh is so fantastic. The most liquidy, see-through, invisible sunscreen that I've ever experienced. It feels like nothing on the skin. It's so gorgeous. It's not the one for you if you really need hydration. It's not gonna be the one because it's a bit too matte for that. But for anyone who hates the feeling on sunscreen, you will love these. And the other version, of course, the original, is the Relief SPF 50. This is just fantastic. It has a bit more hydration. Actually, a person with oily skin should still be able to get away with this because it's not too rich. So yeah, I love these. We'll always go back to them. They're fantastic. There's still so much in there. So yeah, this is gonna be a long video. I hope you're drinking your water, your coffee, your tea. I hope you're having a snack because it's gonna take a while. Now I will say it's bizarre talking about beauty empties and all of these products when there's awful things happening in the world. There's people being starved and we need to look at that and not take our eyes away from that. But at the same time, I see that it's also important that we have some like moments of lightness and excitement and happiness in the midst of all of this. But yeah, we shouldn't take our eyes away. And it feels completely surreal, the privilege I have here to be able to sit down and talk about my passion and what I love. And yeah, we need to be aware of the things that are happening. It's terrifying, even for a person like me, like a queer person, rights being stripped away in the US. And I'm again still in a very safe feeling position of privilege. I am white, I might be gay, but I am here in Austria and it still feels quite safe. But yeah, we need to look out. We need to advocate for those people that don't have that privilege. We need to advocate for trans people. We need to advocate for people of color and people that are hunted down and kicked out of countries. And I am happy to create sort of a place of escape here on YouTube, but I still want to be real with you and I want to be on the right side of history. And I want to make it clear that I am on the side of trans people. I am on the side of immigrants. I am with the people of Palestine, and I'm very much against the fascist tendencies that we're seeing all across the world at the moment. There's still so many good things happening at the same time, and we really need to think about the long run. You know, there's pockets. I keep thinking of this thing that RuPaul said, where there's pockets of time within culture where there's more openness, and then there's a pocket of time where it's closed off again and more racist, more fascist, more homophobic, queerphobic, etc. Okay, here we have some self-tanners. This is the St. Moritz one. I always talk about this. I'm not gonna bang on about this too long because it's just great. It's affordable, it's a mousse, always looks pretty natural. Don't shame me if it doesn't look perfect and natural right now because it's been a few days of this being on. But yeah, I love the self-tanning mousse by St. Moritz. And I also love the Bondi Sands serums here. I have actually mentioned them quite a few times. There's the blue version and the magenta version I have here. Both are brilliant. The blue is gonna look very, very natural and subtle. So I actually prefer the magenta one in the summer just because it's a little bit more substantial. But yeah, both of them are brilliant. They are very lightweight. They're serums, so they're not gonna be too heavy. They are some of the self-tanners for the face that don't break me out as much. I am prone to breakouts when it comes to self-tanners, so I actually always avoid the sort of nose area because the nose can just get really clogged with fake tan. But I have to say these are some of the better choices when it comes to fake tanning the face. And yeah, I would repurchase them, but I have quite a few at the moment that I'm going through. There's also the Balea Magic Summer Lotion. I love a good self-tanning body lotion. I don't use them as much as a self-tanner just because I need to be on video and, you know, I like to have as much control over a fake tan as I can. But these are still great if you just want a very easy, everyday version of a self-tanner. There's also the Dove version of this. But yeah, any sort of fake tanning body lotion, they usually do pretty much the same thing. And yeah, they're very good to have. You recognize that there's not a lot of makeup in there just because makeup takes a lot longer to go through, especially because I have so much. So yeah, I hope there will be some more makeup empties in the future to talk about. This is the closest thing I have in here to a makeup empty. This is by L'Oreal, the Infallible 3-second setting spray. And this is so great. I have another one going on my table because it just sets the face in a way that's almost like hairspray. And that might not be the right thing for you. You might be very turned off by that because it does feel a bit like hairspray. And that's what a lot of people call that out for. It's not like an elegant, soft mist with a beautiful scent. It's a bit more aggressive than that, but it works. It really makes everything last and stay. It almost creates like a film, and actually you can feel that film when you wash your skin. I often use it, like example this. I sometimes wear a bit of that body bronzer and glow and a bit of blush on the chest when going out. And I will set my upper body with this. And when I wash it off at the end of the night or the next day or whenever, I feel that sort of film rubbing off, and there was really this protective layer that this always creates. I also use this on the face before a night out. It's just brilliant. Really makes everything stay in place, even though it feels a bit aggressive when you apply it, I'm not gonna lie. Then we have some luxury favorites that I cannot be without. They're just so beautiful. These creams by Augustin Espada. I hope you can see them in the monitor. But yeah, they're just so gorgeous. I have a backup that the brand kindly sent to me, which is the cream. I use this almost every day. I tend to use this sparingly around the eye area where those sort of laugh lines are, where I really want to prevent aging and really want to make sure that the skin is really hydrated and plump. But yeah, these are just fantastic. I couldn't explain you the science. I know that there's amino acids and peptides and things in there, but yeah, they basically have this patent that's very hard to understand. They are beautiful, and for me, they work beautifully. And yeah, these are sadly empty, but I luckily have a backup already. Okay, we have more sunscreen empties. What did I tell you? So this I already told you about, the Garnier one. Then these I also told you about, the Beauty of Joseon ones. And then another Garnier one that I also mentioned. And then we have a few Balea sort of Sundance ones. So these you can get in Austrian drugstores or in German drugstores here at the M. They're brilliant. They're quite affordable as well, so I love those. Then the same goes for the sunscreen gel, the ultra sensitive, I think, sunscreen gel, SPF 30. There's also an SPF 50, which actually I tend to prefer, the SPF 50. But yeah, this is what I tend to use on my body almost every day because it sinks in so fast, so quickly. And it's just an easy sunscreen that's also really affordable. So yeah, I use those every day, and I go through bottles and bottles and bottles of those body sunscreens because of course you need to use quite a lot of sunscreen, and the body is just, there's so much square footage compared to the face. So the more affordable when it comes to body sunscreen, the happier I am. Then we also have the Medicate, which is sort of the opposite end. This is a lot more pricey. The brand sent this to me and I really enjoyed it. This is great for more dry skin types because it has more hydration. So you can skip your moisturizer with this unless you have really, really dry skin. And it's a beautiful sunscreen that really makes me feel quite safe with the sunscreen I've applied. I really rely on this brand. They have amazing technology that goes into their products. Their retinols, their vitamin C's. I love this brand. Now, do you have to pay as much for a sunscreen? No, I don't think so. I think you should rather go for some of their serums. The vitamin C serum, for example, is so beautiful. Their C Tetra Luxe I've just used up. Or their retinoids, they are brilliant. I would rather go for a proper anti-aging ingredient rather than spending a lot of money on a sunscreen just because you need to use so much sunscreen. And I never want you to feel like you can't use as much sunscreen because you are afraid of using up because of the higher price, essentially. The same also goes for this Charlotte Tilbury sunscreen. It's beautiful, it's very hydrating again, really gives you quite a bit of a glow. So great for dry skin types. But again, it's a very small bottle, so I would rather you go out and get a more affordable sunscreen that you're not too afraid to use up. I do recognize that all of these products, there's a lot of waste involved, unfortunately. So an area where I often try to stay away from using bottles is body soap or body wash. And that's why I always purchase these Dove body soaps because there's not a ton of packaging. Most of it is just sort of cardboard packaging that you can throw away. And the soap itself you of course also use up. And they're just brilliant. You know, they're sort of perfect for the pH of the body. So you don't need to worry about them drying up the body skin. And yeah, you can't go wrong. You can find them everywhere. They're affordable. If you're still using a bottled shower gel, I would highly recommend you try out some of these because they're just great and again, less waste. But I am sort of contradicting myself here because I also have this shower gel here, which I specifically bought because I easily get sort of back acne. And for that scenario, this is really good because it's very soothing to the skin. It's gel-like, so it's not too moisturizing, which on the back of my body, I do prefer sort of a gel. So this is the only area of my body where I will skip the Dove body soaps because I just haven't found a good alternative to gel wash like this. So on my back skin, I tend to use one of these gel washes. Not even always. It's more when I have a sort of body acne breakout, which is not that often anymore. So I tend to still stick to the Dove body soaps, but every now and then I will use one of these. Again, kind of contradicting myself, but this was a gift. This is by Caudalie, the Vino Perfect shower gel. This smells beautiful. It just smells of grapes. It smells really fresh. This makes me think of summer, and I don't use this all over my body. Again, I use this sort of my arms on the upper body where I want that beautiful scent experience. And again, it was a gift. Would I repurchase this? I'm not sure. I do love the experience, but again, I don't want to produce too much waste when it comes to body products, especially shower gels, I mean. But I'm absolutely not saying that I am perfect with this because I am aware that a lot of this product is a lot of waste, essentially. Then we have some of my favorite hair washes. These are the aloe vera hair foods by Garnier, and I really enjoy this. So there's the shampoo, which comes in this clear bottle, and then there's the conditioner, which is in this white bottle. Really enjoy these. At the moment, I'm using a volume one that I'm also really enjoying, but I think eventually I will always come back to these. I've emptied many of those because they sort of hydrate the hair without weighing your hair down. So if you want your hair to look hydrated but still have volume, these are really, really good choices and really recommend those. And then I have a face wash. I actually have 3 of these. So these are the ultra sensitive face washes, again by DM here in Austria and Germany. They're just great. Again, very affordable. I think they're like 3-4 euros, and they're great for sensitivity. Just a very easy gel face wash that I will always come back to. I always have a few of those because they just work so well. They don't dry out the skin. Really recommend those if they are in your country. Then we have some body lotion. This is by Bipa. This is a shea butter vanilla one. Didn't leave too much of an impression, to be honest, but I still used it up. We have a CeraVe face and body moisturizer. These I love because you can use them on the face and body. They're not gonna be extremely hydrating, so I can still use them in the summer, and I love having one of those around. I love those for trips as well, because I can bring one of these bottles and I have enough for my face and for the body for a few days. So I do really like them. They're not too crazy expensive, and recommend those especially for trips. They're easy to get a hold of, so why not? Then we have a foot deodorant, and this actually reminds me I need to rebuy this because how genius. A deodorant for your feet, and you can probably use any deodorant on your feet. I've never really thought about that. But yeah, essentially I use this on my feet. This is the man foot. Just hilarious. You know, they really had to go there with the sort of masculine packaging and call it man foot and have this sort of gray design. But it works really well, and I will repurchase this. And then we have this Medicube Collagen Jelly Cream. And this is brilliant. It's actually sad that I used it up, but I use this with the Medicube device almost every day. So I used it up relatively quickly, but I love that it gave me sort of this hydration and plumping while I used the device. Now, would I repurchase this? I'm not sure, just because I have the ultrasound gel and it's just a bit more cost effective. But having it, I really enjoyed it, and if they ever sent it to me again, I would very happily use it. So we have another Medic8 product. I say Medic8, not Medic8, but right now I did say that, whatever. It's a beautiful serum, and this is a serum I loved for years and years. There's the liquid peptides serum. It just feels really refreshing and lightweight. There's literally nothing left in there, but it's a see-through serum. Almost feels a bit like a hyaluronic acid serum, but it has the peptides. It really plumps the skin. So this is a favorite, and I would really love to repurchase this in the future. There's one that I've emptied many of them, so it's sort of a go-to that I will come back to at some point for sure. Okay, I need some water because my throat is drying up with all these products. My bed is looking insane. I need to show you. This is ridiculous. For all of you who don't know, whenever I throw things out of the camera, I throw them on my bed. And so my bed is full of all of these empty beauty products. I really hope that none of them leaks, because that would be a mess to clean up. But yeah, it's a lot. So next we have the Ordinary Glycolic Acid 7%. This is a go-to, this is a staple. I mean, I also love the version of the Inky List that comes in a stick, but having a glycolic acid in your routine somewhere is crucial. And I'm talking to you men, talking to you sweaty men directly, because this is the #1 thing that I can think of that really prevents you from sort of getting smelly armpits, or even down there. You want to use this anywhere where you get a bit smelly. This just kills the bacteria, and then you still want to use a deodorant, but it just makes sure that the sort of scent causing bacteria are killed off, and highly recommend this. You can also use it on your body, you can use it on your face. It helps with texture, it helps with anti-aging. A glycolic acid is great. However, be careful in the summer. If you know you're gonna be exposed to the sun within the next few weeks, and you're gonna have a lot of sun exposure, like right before holiday, wouldn't really use a glycolic acid personally. I would be quite careful with that. So it's probably more of a winter sort of product for the face if you want to use it that way. But for sort of the armpits or anywhere else, I think this is really good to have. And then we have another sunscreen. This is La Roche-Posay. These are some of the best sunscreens, the Empties ones. I often go back to them. They are a little bit more pricey and they come in these very, very small bottles. So that's why I tend to buy the Garnier ones a lot. But yeah, the La Roche-Posay ones are fantastic. You also have to consider that Garnier and SkinCeuticals and La Roche-Posay, they're all owned by the same group, which is L'Oreal. So of course the technologies are going to trickle down. So they're going to start using the technologies, the sunscreens and etc. They're going to start using them in the most expensive brands like SkinCeuticals. Then they're going to trickle down to La Roche-Posay and then end up with Garnier. And that's why we have such great sunscreens on the market now here in Europe, especially because those formulas, they really trickle down and you can get those formulas at the drugstore now. They are a little bit pricier than they used to be. I think Garnier has become quite pricey, but the formulas are fantastic. Then we have keratin, which I swear by, keratin supplements. They're these little pills filled with this keratin liquid. And one time I sort of opened one of them and had this liquid sort of run all over and it smelled quite intense. But they are just great for giving your skin a bit of a subtle glow. I have mentioned them time and time again on my channel here. But I take one of these every day and they just give my skin a little bit of a subtle glow. Even when I'm not fake tanning, my skin has a bit more warmth to it. And it's quite attractiveness boosting in my opinion and something that a lot of us should get onto and try. But of course it's a supplement and I never want to give sort of, it's not really medicine, I believe, but it's still something that I ingest. So I never want to give too much advice on that because I'm not a doctor and you want to do your own research. But personally, I love the experience I have with these and I've been using them for years. Another sunscreen gel, already mentioned this. And then we have a perfumed body lotion by Balea. This smells a little bit, and I'm really gonna say a little bit, like Baccarat Rouge. Just like a little bit. Like it's not gonna be exactly the same, but it sort of has that sort of slightly vanilla, musky, rosy feel that Baccarat Rouge has, and I really enjoyed this. I would repurchase this. I actually have repurchased a few of them. They're affordable. You can get them here in DM in Austria and Germany, and I really like them. Then next we have, there's also my laptop over there, and I'm throwing things at my laptop, which is not kind. There's another peeling for the body. This is an oil peeling, and it was a bit of a bizarre experience, completely empty, so don't want to get oil all over. But yeah, it's a sort of cherry scented oil peeling, and I don't like an oil peeling. I realized it was a bit of a mess to apply. Kind of remind me of the Fresh peeling. Fresh has this sort of sugar body peel, which I really loved back in the day when I actually worked for the brand. And I still would absolutely use that product and love the product just because the scent is delicious and it leaves your skin so soft. It's beautiful. But this didn't quite hit the mark. Just sort of a bit too bitty. Didn't really properly exfoliate my skin, and I wouldn't really repurchase this. I have to be careful with this because it's going to spill oil everywhere. Then we have a tretinoin. As some of you know, I use prescription strength retinol on my face, so tretinoin on my face. I use them most of the nights, and if I don't use a tretinoin, I use some other kind of retinoid on my face. I like to sometimes alternate them. The Paula's Choice retinoids are amazing, and of course the Medicate ones are fantastic as well, so I like to bring those into the routine sometimes. But yeah, a tretinoin is just an absolute staple. I feel like tretinoin is the reason my skin looks the way it looks at 31 years old. That and sunscreen. So yeah, I mean, personally, if you want to beat the anti-aging game, if you still want to have great skin later in life, I think you should get on retinoids. Personally, I think tretinoin is the absolute best, but you want to work your way up there and not everyone can tolerate them. So you want to start with over-the-counter retinoids like Paula's Choice, like Medicate, or even the ordinary if you want a budget option. But yeah, having a tretinoin has just changed my skin completely. Helps with everything from fine lines to wrinkles to spots to pores, balances the skin, the sebum production. Just fantastic. Even discolorations, even scarring. Tretinoin is gold standard. I will always have this in my routine. Speaking of retinoids, this is the 1% retinol treatment by Paula's Choice. And I really love this because it has the retinol in there, but it also has other ingredients like peptides and vitamin C. So it's really full packed with amazing ingredients. And if I didn't have the tretinoin in my routine, I would probably go for this one. They also just sent me a different retinoid, a new one that I'm currently testing, but I don't want to say too much about that yet because I'm still in the testing phase. But yeah, this is absolutely fantastic. Highly recommended to you. It's strong though, so if you're a beginner, this might be too much. My sister started with this and it was too much for her. You need to start very slowly with these products, introduce them slowly into your routine. Start with once a week, twice a week, build up, and don't introduce too many other actives at the same time. Keep your skincare routine basic if you're first starting with a retinoid or retinol, tretinoin, etc. Now, do I understand the differences between retinol, retinoids, retinol, retinaldehydes, tretinoin, etc.? No, it's completely confusing. I've tried many times to understand it more, but what I understood is that retinoid is the family, like it's all retinoids, but then they sort of break down into the skin into the same thing, which is tretinoin. But again, I could be completely wrong. Tretinoin is the cream I get, the prescription strength. So in the skin, it sort of all breaks down to that same ingredient. But yeah, there's sort of different strengths and levels. Again, I'm not a doctor, but you don't need to be. You don't have to have perfect understanding to test out different versions. Just do some research and you'll figure it out. But yeah, the end goal, in my opinion, if you can tolerate it, should be a tretinoin, unless you're like 20 years old or 25. Like this should be more like towards your 30s and later in life. I have been using them from like the age of 20, which was probably a bit too early, very honestly, but I started with a retinol, but there's also different opinions. So I'm gonna stop waffling about that and move on to this ultra sensitive cream, which is by, again, the M brand. Really good. The whole ultra sensitive range is fantastic. Oh yeah, they have another perfume body lotion that I already mentioned. Then we have Effaclar Isobiome. This was really, really helpful when I had some acne throughout I think it was the beginning of the year. I was battling some acne and I used this as my moisturizer. It's by La Roche-Posay. And La Roche-Posay's moisturizers are really good with acne. They're not overly aggressive, but they're very soothing. So yeah, this is a great one to have. The Isobiome. I'm going to try to link all of these products, but that's going to be a bit of a nightmare. I'm going to try my best. But this is fantastic if you're battling some acne and things like that. We're getting towards the end. I can't believe it. So we have some serums from The Ordinary. We have the multi-peptides and copper serum. This is a favorite and I don't have it at the moment and I'm so sad. I really need a new one of those. A multi-peptide serum with copper peptides. Hence it has a blue color, which I don't know if I can show. Oh yeah, I can show you. It has this beautiful blue color. I hope it really shows up. Let me see. It has this beautiful blue color. It's mildly hydrating. It's powerful and it's for anti-aging essentially. Really good at repairing the skin and giving the skin plumpness. But it takes time. You need to commit time to all anti-aging ingredients. You can't just use them for 2 weeks and expect changes. This really takes time. So you want to go through multiple bottles of these, you know, and really, really see the results over time. Then we have the retinol 1% in squalane. And I have to admit, I didn't use this up because personally it was too oily for me. This is probably better for someone who has more dry skin. And to me, it was just a bit too much. And then I have the niacinamide, 10% plus zinc. I didn't use this up either because it's too much for me. I don't love a 10% niacinamide because it's just so high. And you know, there's a lot of niacinamide throughout skincare products nowadays. So the risk is that you use this one and then you use even a moisturizer or another serum or anything that again has niacinamide and just it's too much. So I don't like this because it's just too high. I think they have a 5% niacinamide. Niacinamide is great for discoloration of the skin. It has some anti-aging and hydrating benefits even. But again, it's not really something that I need as a serum per se. I'm happy if it shows up somewhere in my skincare in another serum, but I don't need a 10% of it personally. I'm gonna try to not ruin these bottles and break them. Then I have a bit of a random one. This is Pat McGrath Intensifies. This is an eyeshadow primer and it's really dried up and discolored. But yeah, I love this product because I love an eyeshadow primer that really makes sure that eyeshadow doesn't move around. I have quite oily eyelids. If you have quite more oily eyelids and you love to do a bit of contouring around the eyes to make your eyes look sort of mysterious and deep set, I love that look. I always talk about that look. This is a great product because it just makes sure that it doesn't move. However, there are more affordable alternatives, so I don't think you need to run out and get this one per se. I love the NARS one, the NARS eyeshadow primer. I also love the Fenty one, that's a little bit more affordable. The Fenty eyeshadow primer is fantastic. And I also love the one I'm currently using, is actually even more affordable, and it's by the brand Manhattan. If you can get it, here we can get it in Austrian drugstores, as well as in Germany. But it's essentially this paste that you put onto your eyelids, and it just makes sure that the eyeshadow stays in place and doesn't crease too much. It's great for that oil prevention. So I always have one of these on hand, especially if I'm going to use a powder eyeshadow. And then one last thing, which is actually empty because, well, I used it up, but it's the one blade razors. I always buy the new knives for these razors because that's the thing about the one blade razor by Philips. It's a fantastic razor, but the knives, they do go a bit blunt throughout the month. If you use, I use them usually like a month long, and then they get a bit too blunt, so I exchange them. But yeah, the one blade razor by Philips is fantastic, and I use it every single day. And these were all the empties. I can't believe it. Completely empty. I can finally throw all of them out. I'm relieved. Oh, sorry, that was my air conditioner. That was pretty loud, but it's hot in here. I'm sweating. But yeah, these were all my empties. Thank you so much for watching. It's been a pleasure. Let me know what else you want to see. I'm so happy to be back. I'm gonna be better at being continuous and posting continually every week because this is my passion and this is what I love. And, you know, sometimes we drift off a bit and things happen in life, etc. But, you know, you gotta keep moving, gotta keep going. Relentless self-belief. I believe in you and I believe in myself, and we can do this. And yeah, that's it. Have a gorgeous rest of your day, and we'll see each other soon. Bisous, bisous, yours truly.